Hello everybody, welcome to my very first video blog here on kingofkingsport.com. I'm Beau James. You know, most of the time when I post videos here on my website, it's for the Southern States Wrestling Power Half Hour or other events that's going on, or maybe a classic match or something. But this is the first time where I've just taken some time to talk to you and tell you what's going on in our life here at the James home, the Four Oaks here in Fall Branch, Tennessee. As we get ready for this weekend, Southern States Wrestling 22nd anniversary spectacular weekend. It's hard to believe, 22 years. You know, I, along with a few other wrestlers and a few other people, started Southern States Wrestling when I was only 16 years old. I'd read a couple of years ago, they said most mom and pop businesses that start last 2 years. Well, we've outdid them by 2 decades. 22 years we're still running, we're still going. You know, we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but the last few days I've been here in my office, is if you've seen the Southern States Wrestling Power Half Hour on YouTube or Blip TV, you've seen an advertisement for our new Blip channel of classic Southern States Wrestling programs we've been showing. I'm putting up all kinds of stuff through the years on there, and as I've looked through the last 22 years, I'm kind of in shock of what this turned out to be. You know, we started, our very first event was the 16th of February 1991 in Elizabethton, Tennessee, in a little bitty place called the Gap Creek Community Center. It was an old school that ended up burning down a few years later. But 22 years later, I look back at all the places that we've went. Starting out in Elizabethton on a hope and a dream and a prayer. The prayer was people would come, the hope and the dream was they would like us, and that we could just continue to run. 22 years later, we're still here, and I thank everybody watching who has ever bought a ticket, a DVD, come to see us and support us, because without you, Southern States Wrestling would have never lasted this long. But I look at the places that we've been. We've been all the Tri-Cities, Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol. We've ran Elizabethton, Greenville, Newport, Morristown. We've ran in North Carolina in Asheville and in Boone area and Jefferson, North Carolina. We've ran West Virginia, Beckley, Princeton, Montcalm, all up and down through there. We've ran all over Southwest Virginia, like Big Stone Gap, Virginia, Saltville, Virginia. There's just so many memories that's come back to me this week as we get ready. And I've looked through all these videos and I've seen all these people that have started here who are still here. We've all had second chances. They've given them to me and I've gave them to them. We've had our ups and downs, but I'm talking about James McCone, Frank Parker, Scott Sterling, Chick White, Crunch the Equalizer. These are all members that came on either on day one or within the first year that I still look at and look to book them on each and every event, because they give that much to Southern States Wrestling. A lot of people, you know, run a long time and they forget who helped them and forget where they got started, but these guys have been with me since day one or shortly after, and we may beat each other's brains out in the ring, but hey, we got a mutual respect for each other. I look at all of our homegrown heroes that we've used right here in Superstars and Legends. I'm talking about Tracy Smothers. I'm talking about the Rock and Roll Express, Dr. Tom Pritchard, you know, Tim Horner, Jimmy Valiant, Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden. And we can't forget Ron and Don Wright. All helped us get started and get rolling here in the early years in Southern States Wrestling. You look at the people we brought in from WCW, like Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, the Disco Inferno, you know, and a whole lot of other guys that we've used here. You look at the ones that started here in Southern States Wrestling before they went on to national and international fame, like Kid Cash, Edge and Christian. The Naturals, TNA Tag Team Champions, Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens met in the Southern States Wrestling locker room for the first time. You can't forget Jillian Hall, who was a big star in the WWE. She wrestled here in her early days. Look at all the Hall of Famers that have come through here, like Jerry the King Lawler, Handsome Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant of the Valiant Brothers, Hall of Fame member. Edge was a Hall of Fame member. He was right here in his early days in his career. My friend, the Junkyard Dog, who's no longer with us. My friend, Sherry Martell, who's no longer with us, was a great part of Southern States Wrestling. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig come through Southern States Wrestling. Past 22 years, it's been amazing. It's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. This coming Friday night, Mount Carmel, Tennessee, Armed Forces Center Armory, 399 Highway 11W, we start the next chapter in the book of Southern States Wrestling. Eric Darkstorm's been a great competitor for us and a great champion. He's going to put the belt against anybody and everybody. You get in the ring, whoever walks out of there, the winner of the Battle Royal will face the champion later in the night. We're going to celebrate the past. Joe Kazana, who wrestled in WCW, and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, who was a big part of the early days of wrestling here in East Tennessee, what is now known as independent wrestling. Joe Kazana is going to return. I'm going to be wrestling him in what should be a traditional classic wrestling match. Then we're going to celebrate the past of Southern States Wrestling as James McCone brings his tag team champions in the ring. I'm talking about Frank Parker, Scott Sterling, and we're going to look across the ring at the future of Southern States Wrestling. I'm talking about my nephew Jake Booth. Since a baby, every step he has taken in life has led him to be in the ring. He was born with the fever. He will probably die with the fever just like his uncle. I'm talking about the sickness, the wrestling sickness. Our family lives and dies for this profession. We love it, and without you, we would never be able to live our dreams like we do every day. But Jake's got 2 surprise mystery men in there this weekend. My wife, Misty James, is going to be wrestling Friday and Saturday night. We got a lot of surprises. We got a lot of stuff going on. But a very special Friday night, 7:45, we're going to do a special memorial to all the wrestlers, the referees, the managers, and fans of Southern States Wrestling who has already passed on and left us so young, like my friend Mark Curtis, the Junkyard Dog we talked about, Wahoo McDaniel, and the list goes on and on. But we're going to read the list off, and we're going to give a tribute to them this Friday night in Mount Carmel. It's a big night. The new chapter in the book of Southern States Wrestling begins Friday night, Mount Carmel, Tennessee. I hope to see many of you there. I hope to see many familiar faces that's come and seen us over the years, like Shelby and Sonia and so many others out there. Thank you all for supporting us. Thank you for being there. We've had our ups and downs. We've always did our best to give you what you paid for, to make you happy when you left there. God bless each and every one of you. This Friday and Saturday night, it's going to be a big time. 22nd anniversary spectacular weekend. See you ringside.